Hello, Rebel Woman. Welcome back to Embodied Woman. Really looking forward to a conversation with this special guest today, Megan Thoma. I met Megan at a event here in Denver, and I mean, she's a stunning woman. And I started following her on Instagram, and her content is so juicy, so value packed, and it's on a topic that we don't talk as much as I want to on the podcast, which is love and relationships. So I'm going to go ahead and let Megan introduce herself and we'll go from there.
Yay! Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Me too.
Hello, everybody. I'm Megan Thoma. I'm a master coach, and Sarah described it perfectly. I'm here to talk all things dating, love, relationships because I think I've been fascinated since I came out the womb. Always loved relationships. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Isn't that so cool when it's like you just know so clearly that's the sole purpose?
Yes, I remember way back in the day I had it was actually it was a former pastor friend, and I was volunteering at marriage boot camps. He's like, Megan, you're like the only single person I know, and the youngest one in here. I was like, but I love it. I love marriage. I love relationships. I just it's always been there. So there you go.
I love
hmm
it. Okay, so outside of it being the sole purpose that you literally have been wanting to do since a baby, how did you get into this work? Like, what was the unfolding of your journey?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think I always, as I just sort of described, always wanted to be a coach. I just didn't even know coaching existed. I thought about becoming a therapist, but I went in different directions. But I've always been the person a lot of people have come to for advice. And it was through my own engagement ending that I called off in 2018 that really set me on the path and the trajectory to do this deep healing work, and also to like serve other women in this space. It
Oh,
just all the stars aligned through my really painful process, as it normally goes.
yep.
So
You know what's crazy is I'm trying to think of the year, and it might actually have been 2018, but I called off an engagement as well.
wow.
And my gosh, this is such an important conversation because I think there's a lot of people listening to this who may be in relationships that are not fulfilling or not aligned, and they are absolutely terrified of calling things off, especially if like big expectations have been set, like a wedding.
Yes.
And you got two women right here who have called off engagements. So I know that might be a little heartbreaking to talk about, but I think it is important.
Yeah, no, it's so important. And exactly, like we're both here, we've both been through it and we survived. We're okay. But when you're in the thick of it, it feels debilitating. It is like a life and death. It's terrifying, especially if you're tangled up in a somewhat unhealthy dynamic,
Yeah.
and it screams codependent in so many ways. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my entire life. I mean, it was horrifying. And I knew my soul was screaming at me to do it, to make a move. And I'm so grateful that I did, but it doesn't mean that I didn't go through some really hard times. But there's so much light on the other end of that tunnel. I
Yeah.
can say that now. You can say that now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
When you're in it, oh my gosh, you it really does feel like the end of the world.
it does.
Um, and yeah, like you can only realize that in hindsight that it was the best decision you probably ever made. Um, yeah. So what would you say to the woman who maybe is in a little bit of an unfulfilling relationship or misaligned and wants out? What would you say to her?
Well, I would definitely say to seek support. That's what I did. I needed someone's very unbiased third party opinion to help, because my friends and family, who all have my best interest at heart, saw it a very certain way. And same for his friends and family. And so, other than seeking support, I would also say one of the biggest determining factors that I realized is that I had to abandon so much of who I was and who I am in order to stay in that relationship. So it's looking at, where have I watered down me? Where have I turned the dial down, the knob down on the truth of who I am in order to stay here. And do you want to stay there? Do you want to stay this shell of a person to stay in the relationship? And if you got radically honest with yourself, which I did, the answer was no. It doesn't mean the decision was easy. Again, hardest thing I've ever done. But it was very clear. I was losing myself day by day.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is so relatable.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
relatable. That feeling of being like that shell of a person and toning down yourself and your truth. Oh yeah. Wow. Thank you for speaking to that. And for those of you listening, if you resonate with that, like we're here for you. Megan is like an expert in that. She's got you. Um, thank you. Okay, so heartbreak is real. And I know after I went through not only my calling off my engagement, but after that I got into a relationship and was broken up with, and I closed myself off completely from any and all possibility of love, trust, my worth, everything. Um, and I know there's probably a lot of women who feel that way as well. And I'm curious what maybe your journey has been like with that, and also maybe some tangible tips for the woman listening to stay open.
Oh, for sure. So I definitely, for me, a lot of my healing was doing things differently than I'd always done, because I was the woman that was never single. I was always in a relationship. And sometimes I wasn't in my next one until or I wouldn't leave my previous one until I had another one lined up. It was like out the
Yep.
door. I mean, just super icky. And I've never cheated, but still, regardless, it doesn't matter. Um, I needed to actually self source and understand and figure out who the heck I was without a man, without a relationship, without that being the goal in my whole life, right? Like, what is it that life is trying to do through me? I had to get clear on that. So for me personally, or if you are someone that has always been in a relationship or you've never taken a real break from dating, I would invite you to do that. And it sucks. It's not fun, but it's, you know, otherwise you're just doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. So I took some space. And in that space, I was able to reconnect to the parts of myself that I had abandoned. I call it like my reclamation. And in one of my in toxic dating programs, that's sort of the final step that I take women through, of like reclaiming the parts of yourself that you have abandoned. And once I did that and was able to open myself up to other things that light me up, what fascinate me, what I'm passionate about, what I'm curious about, that also allowed my heart to open up.
Yeah.
So it's once I connected back to who I was and found so much love and compassion for myself, I could open up my heart to have love and compassion for like a romantic partner. So
Yes, so good. So freaking good. And I'm with you. I am a serial relationship person. And I even in the partnership that I'm in right now, which is the longest relationship I've ever been in, the healthiest relationship I've ever been in. There was a point in time where I was doing all of the work on myself. And the question that I had to confront with him and myself was, I've never been single as an empowered version of myself. And it kind of took a little bit of like do I want to experience me being a version of myself who is empowered and who is single? Obviously the answer is no now, but in probably our third year of dating, after doing so much of the work, there was a part of me that was like, I wish I could experience this version of me in total like freedom, right? So I just think it's such an important tip, especially for women who love to be in relationships. You will benefit so much from taking that time and space for you, and you won't regret it.
yes, complete. I love the way you said that too. And that's how I look at my journey, I guess you would say. I felt like I had done so much work on healing and stepping into my power that it was to the point where I felt as though, okay, I have dedicated and devoted all of what I was doing, all of what I was dedicating and devoting outside of myself to the man I was with. I'm now doing that with me. Great. Now it's to this place where I feel like I've taken myself as far as I could go, and I want to go even further now with someone else.
Yes.
It's a very different intention, right? Than I need someone else in order to heal and be loved versus I feel healed. We're never done, obviously, but I feel a lot of my old patterns, I really feel like they're tied up and sealed up and they're done because I really got the lesson.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Thank God.
Yeah, thank God. So good.
Woo, it was a ride. Yeah.
Oh, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
So you brought
Yeah.
up ending toxic dating. That's one of your containers.
Yes. Yeah. That's
Okay.
one of my signature programs. Yes.
So I know a lot of people who are single and they express like their total frustration about dating, specifically dating apps. And I get it. Like I remember in my like, 2-month period of being single or whatever it was, like being on Tinder and it was hard. It was like a second job sometimes. And I'm curious what your outlook is on dating and also like what does ending toxic dating mean? Like what does that look like?
Yes. Yes. So, ending toxic dating, I wanted to include dating because people can be in toxic relationships that aren't just committed partnerships or marriage or what have you. We can start to fall for people and get caught up in these codependent dynamics even when we're dating. So, I'm wanting to break those cycles. And the way that I do that is a 3-step process of uncovering the reasons why we do that because I was so oblivious to it. I was so oblivious to why I was picking the men I was picking. I was like, I'm great. I mean, you seem great. So why aren't we working out? I had some learning to do. So I take people through that. I have them release a lot of the shame and guilt around why they haven't, quote unquote, figured it out yet, gotten it right, or why they've been in unhealthy dynamics, and then reclaiming who they are. So now, once we go through those steps, I have another journey that I've taken women on after that. It's called magnetic dating. It's when you've done some healing work and you're ready to re-enter that space. And I talk all about my viewpoints on the online dating space. I have a very different viewpoint than most of the world does.
Oh, I want to hear it.
Okay, so I love it all. I'm so in love with this process and this work because I think a lot of us get really concerned and caught up on timelines or how it's supposed to look, but that takes the magic out of everything.
Yeah.
If we always knew how everything was going to work out, where we were going to meet the person, how it was going to be, there'd be no magic in it. So when I decided I was ready to open myself up to dating again, I decided that I was open to any possible way he, as a straight female, he wanted to show up in my life. So I opened the door to dating apps. If that's a portal he wants to come through, why would I close the door to that? Yeah. So I look at it as it's just an avenue. It's just a way that he gets to show up and come to you. And can you open yourself up to that? And I also always say that a dating app is simply a vetting system too. It's not a popularity contest. We say the cute, cheeky thing and we want to be the most liked girl on the dating app. Really, it's like, do you want likes or do you want your person?
Yes. So, oh my God. Yes.
Yeah.
So true.
So I really advocate for women to be so radically themselves. And there's a way to do that playfully and feminine and fun and cute while also showing, hey, this is my heart though. This is what I really want. And I'm serious about it. That is going to repel the men that aren't right for you and attract the ones that are. And it might attract some flies in there, but you're going to have so much more discernment once you really get clear on what it is you really want. Because that's the other thing. A lot of us don't know. A
Yeah.
lot of us don't know. We think we know. Well, of course I know. I want him to be honest and this and tall and blah. And it's like this checklist of things, but no one has gotten clear on how they actually want to feel in their man's presence.
Oof.
It's just huge. It's everything. And I think that's a way we call him in too. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I feel about dating apps.
I love that perspective so much because it feels fun again. And it
Yeah.
also, like, I always relate my relationship with men as a direct relationship as my with money.
Yeah.
Like they're very intertwined. And so like I always say, as far as, kind of looking at it from this, social media is just an avenue for money clients to find
Right.
you, right? It's not the only source, but you stay open to the possibility of that, right? And it's like
Yes.
the same with a dating app. You get to stay open to possibility, and yes, it takes putting yourself out there and showing up and being authentically you, but it's not the only way. It's just an
Right.
avenue.
And it keeps you in the energy of it, the
Yes.
energy of, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here, and I'm ready. I'm here and I'm ready. I'm here and I'm ready. So,
Mhm. So good.
yeah,
It's like that aligned action to call in the person.
exactly. Exactly. Yep.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I love that so much. Thank you for sharing because I think
Yeah.
a lot of people need to hear that perspective. It can be a lot and it doesn't have to be so like dreadful.
Exactly. Dating does not have to be dreadful. And that's the other thing, too. I think we have so many misconceptions as well around how it's supposed to work and how it's supposed to go. Like, I can't tell you how many women I've worked with that they're like, well, I go to, let's say a lounge or a restaurant with my friends and I see a cute guy and I look at him for, a few seconds. And if he doesn't come over, he just wasn't into me. And I wish it was that simple. It's not. A lot of women, myself included, didn't really understand how men think and work and what their fears are and what they do. We've subscribed meaning to, but it has a completely different meaning to them. So
Yeah.
I had to really learn not just about me, but I've spent a lot of time learning about men and
Yeah.
why they do what they do and why they how they think and how it's so different from us.
Hmm.
And I don't believe we can truly understand and appreciate our own brilliance until we appreciate theirs because we
Woo!
need each other. We
Yep.
do. Especially if we say we want that, if we want a committed, monogamous, romantic relationship, with a man or whatever. So,
It's so true. And I actually just made a post again about money. Like you cannot be proactively shaming money if you also
right.
want to attract money. And it's the same with men. You cannot
Yeah,
proactively shame men if you want to receive a man.
exactly. So when I ask women, like, okay, what do you want? I want a relationship. I'm so ready. I want a man. I can't wait. I can't wait. I want it so bad. Okay, finish this sentence. What's the first thing that comes to mind? Men are, and it's normally liars, cheaters, unreliable, they suck,
Yeah.
whatever. And it's like,
Yeah.
alignment is alignment, people.
Yep.
You
So
got to look at the reasons why you don't want to be in a relationship or why you don't want a man too.
hmm
So, and
and that's
reconcile that.
yeah, and that's why you start with and toxic dating.
Yeah, exactly.
I love
Exactly.
that. I love that you start with the healing and then you get to move into the magnetic dating.
Totally. Because
So
if
what is
I
that
give
about?
all the if I give all the tips and the tools or the quote unquote tricks or the advice, I guarantee I can get you to hook a man. I
Mhm.
guarantee, but you will not be able to keep him.
Yeah.
You will sabotage it, you will run away, you will push him away, whatever, because you haven't dealt with the underlying stuff. That's what I did for so long. So long. So it's like putting a band-aid on a bullet hole. You have to deal with the wounds first. And the forgiveness, the self-forgiveness is so huge.
Yeah.
So
And then what does magnetic dating look like?
magnetic dating is all about, so after we've done more of that deeper healing work, it is about the art of flirtation. It is about how to put yourself out there. It is about how to respond to certain messages or things. I don't go deep into the text messages in that. I've done more of that here lately just because it's really fun for me. But yeah, it's more about the woman that is so ready and is open to all the possible ways her man wants to come in and how to navigate that. It's like what to actually put on your profile, when to even get on the dating apps, how often should you be dating, how many chances do you give a man, what to look for. uh, Cardinal rule, and I'll just say this here, I think I've said it before, I'm not sure if I have, but my number one tip for the woman who is dating or in the space, like ready to really call in her partner, if you are online dating, always, always, always request either a phone call, preferably a FaceTime beforehand, because we waste so much time going out on dates and we sit down, we're like, I don't even have chemistry with this person, or they
Yeah.
don't even look like their pictures or whatever. You can tell so much by a person's voice and face and expressions, especially since, 90% of our communication is nonverbal. It's
Mhm.
micro expressions, body language, all of that. So that's my big tip. And a lot of times when women, especially in the course, have said to me, oh, well, you can say that? Isn't that going to scare him off? I'm like, if that's going to scare him off, that's not your guy.
Yeah.
You screw it up. You do realize that your husband, your person, your partner, your man, whatever, is going to want you. So
Mm,
the more you can be, the better.
yes.
It's you your person's going to want. Scare off all the others. Good.
You
That's
know what,
mine.
you know what that brings me to? And I think that this is like kind of a hot topic right now, but it is like that woman trying to be the cool girl, trying to be it's a people pleasing tendency, but trying to be the cool girl. You guys, let me tell you, I don't want to be a cool girlfriend.
Mm-mm.
And
No.
it doesn't work for either of you because I mean, and I'm speaking personally, like the resentment that built, and also like
Yeah.
when you start off being the cool girl, like when I first met Tony, I was like, oh, I'm the cool girl. Like, I don't care if you smoke weed. I don't care if you play video games. Like, I don't
Mhm.
care. And let me tell you, a year into the relationship, I really fucking cared because I was lying to myself at the start.
Mhm.
And that created
Yeah.
a lot of tension. So yeah, take it away on that because
Yes.
that's a big deal.
Yes. And I'm so proud of y'all for navigating through that, because that's why relationships, I think, come to such a head, because we all wear masks.
Yeah,
Okay. To a degree, we all do. And we always will for most of our lives. But the more we remove layers of those masks, the better, because your situation exactly. Then the poor dude is a year in and he's like, what? You've been cool with us all along. What's happened? You've
exactly.
changed. It's this huge thing. And being the cool girl, I think, is one of the biggest self abandonment things we can do.
Yep.
One of the biggest.
Yeah.
Because again, it hooks them in, and y'all were able to navigate it. You'd establish enough love and trust and, communication and whatever to do that, which is amazing. But so many people don't. They
Exactly.
don't.
It,
Yeah.
it takes two very willing and open and like dedicated people
Yes.
to work through it. And it still comes up. Like it's not just
Yeah.
like a gone, but we've both been able to like accept parts of ourselves, our real selves, and not
Mhm.
have like these unrealistic expectations while also sacrificing our happiness.
Yeah. That's amazing.
But
That's
it wasn't
amazing.
easy. It wasn't easy.
No,
And if I
no.
could go back in time, I would have not had set those cool girl expectations.
Yeah. 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 And I don't think there's any, I mean, we're so concerned, like our desires or our likes and dislikes or whatever aren't going to be accepted, or who's ever been told you're too much, you want too much, go find another guy that's perfect because whatever. And you know there are certain ways to communicate things, I think, better to men, to where they can understand us better. But we also, we just uh, it, the more clear on who we are and what we want and are comfortable voicing that, the better.
Yeah.
And I will say, just to that point, because I get some pushback at times. It's like, why do I have to change how I talk to a man?
Mhm.
This whole and I hear that. But it's just like if you were in another foreign country and you have to speak Spanish to ask for directions somewhere, are you going to degrade yourself? Like, I can't believe I have to speak Spanish for this person to understand me. No, you're speaking in a way that they can understand you. It's not abandoning yourself. It's just, it's communication skills.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, such a good point. And speaking of communication skills, because I've been loving this content from you, texting and
Mhm.
yeah, like that part of communication. Oh my God, I used to get so caught up. Like when I was young, I look back at some of my messages sometimes. I'm like, look at her. Like she was so spunky. She just said what she
Yeah.
wanted. But then there was this period of time where I had like reading the text messages. I'm like, who the hell was I? Like that was not me.
Yeah.
Anyways, you're an expert at the whole flirting and texting and communicating. I would love for you to speak into that.
Yeah. So I love, I think it's Regina Thomas Hauer. I don't know if I'm saying her name right. She's an author. Yes,
I'll
she's
share.
great.
Mama G.
Mama Gina, yes. I subscribe to her definition of flirtation, the art of flirtation, which is we lift others by it's enjoying ourselves in the presence of others without trying to get a sexual outcome or to get them to like us, or there's no agenda.
Yeah.
It's just, how can I turn my light on to literally light up this whole room?
Mhm.
Because I'm so alive, I'm so expressed, I feel so good and playful and free or whatever. So it gets to be that in your texting and dating life too. I want a man that's living his life on purpose, or at least has curiosity or working towards something, right? Well, men want a woman that's alive in her life too. And if I pretended that I wasn't alive in my life, I wouldn't be true to who I am. So it's like, how can we express that in text message? Men love to text. It's very left lobe.
Mhm.
It's left lobe texting.
Yeah.
But you can have fun and play and be witty and that sort of thing. I like to think of texting as, especially if you're getting, I mean, there's all different ways depending on what's going on in your life. If you want a man to pursue you, or if you're trying to handle someone that's ghosted you, if you're trying to, yeah, reestablish a connection, there's so many different tools and tricks and stuff that you can do. But I look at it as very, it's like, how can you just constantly sort of drop the handkerchief, and how can you make space for them to come into your space?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's lots of different things, but it's such an empowering place for women to be, because sometimes it could feel like, oh, I'm being submissive or whatever the case. But, you know, from my understanding, if you want a masculine man, he doesn't want you to be his mom, and he doesn't want you to hunt him down. He wants to come after you. And you don't have to sit at home twiddling your thumbs until he does. You can be out dating, you can be, doing your thing, whatever. You don't have to just put all your focus on this one person. So, unless you've discussed a committed, monogamous, continuous relationship. So, yeah, I love texting though. It's fun. And I love voice notes too. I think that's another fun, happy medium for women, especially because we love to talk for the
Mhm.
most part, more right lobe,
Yeah.
and we love phone calls, but voice notes are beautiful in between. So there's that too.
Oh, I love that. And I love your take on flirting because I have a
Mhm.
very similar outlook. And it doesn't even have to, like you said, it doesn't have to have that agenda. Like I always for in business, I have a list of call to actions, I call them seduce to actions.
I love it.
So much more playful, it's so much more fun. Like why not turn each other on,
Yes.
when you're flirting, you're turned on. When someone's being flirted with, they get turned on. It's so much more of an irresistible experience
Yes.
than, yeah, just like boring text messages.
Yes, it's so fun. And being turned on, it doesn't even have to be sexual. Where
Mhm.
some people get so confused. It's not like that.
No.
It's play. It's feeling good. It's pleasurable. It's sensuous. It's fun. It's silly. It's
Yeah.
all the things. It doesn't mean I've got to, send him a photo of me in a sex. It's like, it's not that at all, in my
No.
opinion. It can
No.
be, but it doesn't have to be. Yeah.
Exactly. Like and a turn on is a huge part of the embodied woman, right? Like living a turned on life. And that doesn't necessarily, it's not anything to do. It can be sexual, but it's not that. It's like, how can I move throughout the world feeling so good in who I am, feeling so confident in myself, like feeling that spark in life and like feeling alive. You spoke to that earlier, feeling the most alive and radiant.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, I totally agree. Turn on is not just sexual, it's how you live.
Yes, totally. How bright can you shine that light?
Yeah.
Turned all the way up.
Yes.
Yeah.
So good. Okay, so
Yeah.
you have a freebie, a texting freebie, right?
I do. Yes, I do. It's on my Instagram. There's a little link in my bio. You can get the text messages delivered right to you. I wanted to create something the way I use it, and I don't know. I know not everybody does this, but I save all my ideas, all my posts, all the things that I want to refer back to in the notes section of my phone. So I just
Mhm.
created a note that you can copy and paste into your note section so that you run into this with someone you're texting with, you have a script. And you can
Yeah.
still tweak it to where it feels more like you, but yeah,
Mhm.
I have certain scripts that I love. So people seem to love them. So I just keep
Yeah.
making them.
I love it. I would love to put the link to that in the show notes.
Yeah.
I know the women are going to eat that up.
Yes.
Oh, I'm so excited. Well, Megan, this has been amazing.
Yes.
You are such a powerhouse and a wealth of knowledge, and you feel like I feel how embodied you are in this work, especially of being like a magnetic woman. So thank you. And where do you like to hang out the most? Instagram?
Instagram. Yep. Yep. It's
Perfect.
just Megan_Thoma. Super easy. Yep.
Love it.
That's my place.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I will put the link for your Instagram as well in the show notes. You guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know I did. I could talk about this stuff all day. I'm like,
Yes, me
so fun.
too.
It is so fun. Give Megan a follow, connect with her. Definitely download the notes for text messages, the templates. Check out End Toxic Dating and Magnetic Dating. So much good information in there. And if you enjoyed this episode, you know what I'm going to ask. Share it on Instagram, tag both of us, and share it with someone else who might need this information because I know a lot of y'all might. Um, Thank you, Megan, and thank you all for listening.
Thank you. I loved being here. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Bye.